It is Saturday the 25th of October 1902, and dictator of Guatemala, Manuel Estrada Cabrera, is celebrating the Festivus Minervalis Fair. The event is a vital propaganda tool used to bolster Cabrera's grip on the country. Anything that might tarnish the fair has been played down or even covered up. This includes disasters of the natural variety. Now, as the fair plays out in its Roman-style temple, a community around 200 kilometres away has been wiped off the face of the earth from a volcanic eruption, just a few hours before the festival was to kick off. The government would try and cover up the existence of the eruption, which the volcano was a complete surprise to many. But although a surprise, it would be one of the worst eruptions of the 20th century. Today we're going to have a look at the 1902 eruption of Santa María. My name is John, and welcome to Plainly Difficult. Today's video wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for my Patreon, YouTube and Ko-fi members. If you want early access to the channel's videos, then you can from just £1 per month. And as always, the links will be in the pinned comment below. Santa María. This is the mountain of Santa María. It sits along what will be known in the modern day as the Central American Volcanic Arc. This range of volcanoes span 5 countries: Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua and Costa Rica. Today we're looking at solely this area, the Sierra Madre de Chiapas, more specifically the section in Guatemala. It runs along the western edge of the country. It is thought the range was formed over 30,000 years ago. Part of the range is Santa María. Throughout all of recorded history in the region, the mountain never showed any signs of being an active volcano, thus it was thought to be extinct. It is one of the tallest mountains in the area with a height of 12,467 feet. Although other eruptions in the country had occurred throughout the 1800s, for example Fuego in 1896 and in 1885 Pacaya, just to name a couple. Thus, volcanic activity was somewhat of a regular occurrence. The area is more well known for earthquakes, however, but usually the two do go hand in hand. But Santa María had gained little interest from volcanologists. The area around the mountain was fertile enough to sustain multiple coffee plantations. The local economy had thrived after the crop was introduced, helping develop the nearby city of Quetzaltenango. There are many settlements near the mountain, 2 of which were the twinned towns of San Pedro and San Marcos, and the aforementioned Quetzaltenango. Now, at the turn of the century, life around Santa María was pretty unvolcanic. Well, until 1902. A bad year. So our story actually will end with Santa Maria's eruption, because in the lead up to the Big Bang, the region around the mountain would be getting very active in different ways. On the 18th of January 1902, an earthquake hit the area. The village of San Martin had some buildings collapse, but although opening out the year, the worst was yet to come. Often earthquakes occur in the region around April time, as noted in Volcanoes of Guatemala by Tempest Anderson. Guatemala has always been considered a district particularly subject to earthquakes, especially at the changes of the seasons in April, May and October and November. But they had been less frequent than usual for some years before 1902. On the 18th of April 1902, another cluster of earthquakes would hit the region, damage ranging into hundreds of buildings being affected. Between January and April, locals had experienced multiple small tremors. The main quake on the 18th would be described firsthand by Gustav Eisen in his American Geographical Society paper. The movements lasted 3 minutes, at first gentle, but increasing to a maximum, then declining. During the night there were smaller shocks, and the others the next day. These shocks were renewed in the night, and there was one tremor which lasted for 15 minutes. This was heavy enough to cause the telephone poles to swing perceptibly for that length of time. I could observe swaying of our low house, the wall of which was not over 8 feet high. Every house in town was cracked more or less seriously. All roofs settled and some fell. Not long before the earthquake, heavy rains, lightning and thunder ravaged the region. This is considered uncommon, but they are common during volcanic activity. It would seem Santa Maria was awakening, but no one had really noticed. The earthquake in April would take between 800 and 2,500 lives during its magnitude of 7.5 few minutes of chaos. The region would be hit with multiple aftershocks over the following months. The eruption. It is the 24th of October 1902, and the area around Santa Maria was showing signs of unrest. Minor tremors had been felt all morning. By late afternoon, rumbling could be heard from the mountain and plumes of steam could be seen. A dark cloud could be seen coming from the volcano from nearby Quetzaltenango. As the evening came in, sand rained down, blanketing the area. Towards the east of the mountain, at Helveta, a coffee plantation, ash began to fall. Lightning and thunder clapped out around the mountain summit, and as the sky cleared, a mushroom-like cloud could be seen for quite a distance. As the night rolled in, and the 24th slivered into the 25th, pumice stones rained down onto the bathhouse called Sabina, towards the south-eastern foot of the now erupting volcano. Again, the Helveta coffee plantation would receive a downpour, but this time it had progressed from ash to pumice stones. They were between 15 and 25 centimetres wide, with a weight of around half a pound, or 200 grams. The sizes of the stones launched from the volcano had increased, battering all nearby settlements. The explosions coming from the mountain could be heard as far away as El Salvador and Honduras. However, at least initially, Guatemalans in the area thought the explosions were premature Festivas Minervalis celebrations. This may have delayed the initial evacuation of residents. During the largest explosion, a crater almost 1.5 kilometres wide was formed. As the morning crept on into the 25th, such was the sky was so dark that in order to carry on with their normal business, locals had to navigate via candlelight. The heavy ashfall resulted in building roofs being overloaded, resulting in collapses, causing people all over the nearest villages to be crushed within their homes. Between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m, pyroclastic surges crashed down from the volcano, several miles towards the southeast and several hundred miles towards the west and southwest. During these surges, trees were uprooted, livestock was swept away, and thousands of lives would be lost. Many houses were made of abode and straw. These offered little in the defence of pyroclastic surges, adding to the casualties of the eruption. Gustav Einstein had described the flows as hurricanes, and after visiting the affected areas, after the volcano had subsided, described the destruction as, while this tremendous hurricane lasted for only 4 hours, it did more damage than all the other phenomena of the eruption. It was during this time that most of the mud fell, and that all trees for 100 miles to the west of the volcano were stripped of their leaves. The volcanic cloud was estimated to be between 27 and 29 kilometres high. Explosions and ash fall subsided after the 26th, and a few days later, daylight began to creep back in from behind the clouds. The massive crater that had formed on Santa Maria would emit white puffs of steam for weeks and months. Rockfalls down from the mountain summit to the crater became a regular occurrence as the mountain tried to resettle. Thousands of people were missing, and many more tens of thousands of people had been made homeless from the vast damage inflicted on housing and infrastructure throughout the region. Economically, the volcano was disastrous, with thousands of tons of coffee destroyed. Most livestock post-eruption that had once grazed freely amongst the mountainside had died from the ash-polluted water. The region stank of death as rotting animals and people alike remained undisposed of. The government of Guatemala was very uninterested in acknowledging the eruption, let alone assisting the affected areas, which leads us back to the opening of this video. The aftermath. The official government issued newspaper of Guatemala, called Diario de Central America, focused more on the celebration of the Festivas Minervalis instead of the massive volcanic eruption that happened on the same day. The government instead put out that maybe the volcano was happening in Mexico towards the west. Financial assistance to the region around Santa Maria wouldn't come from the Guatemalan central government until December 1902, and even still, This wasn't a lot of money and only just an extension on funding for the earlier earthquake that the area had experienced. In the meantime, the local government of Quetzaltenango had to sort itself out, and it was hardly a surprise to anyone that it was overloaded with the humanitarian crisis. It was still dealing with the aforementioned aftermath of the devastating earthquake in April. Amongst the suffering, a malaria outbreak occurred, adding even more to the death toll. The wider government didn't actively bother recording the death toll. As such, the official number was non-existent. It has been estimated that between 3,000 and 9,000 people lost their lives in the devastating pyroclastic surges and the following humanitarian crisis. Agriculture was severely affected in the areas that had the worst sandfall. On top of this, the paths the local rivers had taken had changed from burst banks and new gullies being formed. This washed away any other remaining vegetation. Again, I'm quoting Ison here. I was shown in several places ground which had been changed in colour by the deposited sand, and it was believed that such soil had been greatly injured in quality. Parts of the port of Ocos along the coastline of the west of Guatemala had subsided, resulting in houses once safe from the tides being flooded. The region was hit for months with food shortages, energy shortages, and uncontaminated water shortages, severely hampering the recovery of the local population. Santa María would slowly quieten down over the following months. It would only stay quiet for another 20 more years, when in 1922 another eruption resulted in a new lava dome getting the name Santiaguito, which is still active today with minor eruptions. However, in 1929 another pyroclastic surge hit residents near the volcano, taking the lives of an estimated between 500 and 5,000 people. Santa María was just one eruption of 1902. One of the world's most deadly, the 1902 eruption of Mount Pelée, had occurred throughout the year, which interestingly, I've got a video on it. So if you want to read more about the disaster, I really recommend Gustav Einstein's first-hand account of the eruption, and the link will be in the pinned comment below. So it's scale time. It's going to be a 9, and this is what I've got for my root cause analysis card. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. And do you have any future suggestions for some natural disaster videos? Please let me know. I need to apologise for my poor voice here. I've got a cold yet again. So once again, apologies for my awful pronunciations throughout the video. This is a Plain Difficult production. All videos on the channel are Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike licensed. Plain Difficult videos are produced by me, John, in a currently very cold corner of southern London, UK. And all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching, and Mr. Music, play us out please.